Come on. Do I have to do something here? No. Aha! Finally, I found something. How can Gen Alpha not like this stuff? Like, classic Pokemon. Let's see what, Beyblade. Or, ooh, the DS. I swear, kids nowadays don't know what's actually cool. Ignoring whatever that was, I guess I do want to stay in touch with what's trending, but it's so hard when you get older. I got it! To stay in touch, all I need to do is find some random miner online and befriend. As someone who is Gen Z, I have to admit that our run on the internet has been glorious. To our memes, the games we've played, to the content we've consumed. We have influenced a lot of what makes the internet the internet. I don't believe it's too bold to assume that Gen Z has to arguably be the most technologically aware generation thus far. However, that title is as temporary as our understanding of the very thing we rule: social media. You see, Gen Alpha recently entered its teenage years. This means Gen Alpha will soon begin to flood social media and society with its brand new ideas and personalities. Don't worry though, this is a completely normal and natural thing that happens with each decade as each generation grows up. Though there are still some people that can't accept Gen Z will be completely adult in the next coming years. So it might be a hard pill to swallow for some that Gen Alpha is actually growing up. It all leads to Gen Z becoming the very thing they swore to destroy though: Millennials. Now, I'm not trying to send any flack towards you Millennials, alright? You guys had a pretty decent run on the internet with your small bean and the weird facial expressions you guys do. I mean, Jesus, have you guys seen yourselves? You guys do you. Honestly, I'm not gonna sit here and judge. Okay. Millennials were overshadowed by Gen Z really fast, and with little fight. Hell, I'd argue Millennials had a huge influence on the earlier stages of the internet, and despite that, they still went down crying and crashing out over Gen Z calling them old or just making fun of them for what they used to do. I guess I'm just glad that we don't have to see those cringy ass millennial videos as often anymore, because man, were they such a chore to get through. Just as Millennials are old news, so will Gen Z be in the next few years. I really want to be biased and believe that Gen Z will last a little bit longer and put up a better fight when it comes to internet culture than Millennials did. But the fact of the matter is, Gen Z's influence was never meant to be permanent. I mean, let's be honest, Gen Z has had its discernible quirks and trends every now and then. It's just becoming more prominent. It's only a matter of time before we see more posts where Gen Z is freaking out just like Millennials did. Or who knows, maybe Gen Z will handle it a little bit better. It is pretty funny to see Gen Z trying to keep up with the new terms that Gen Alpha has been creating recently. It has had me a little worried though. Gen Z is losing touch with the new terms and jokes and memes that are coming out. That probably means that their social media lifespan's about to come to an end. That raises a good question though. Is it truly possible to stay in touch for your entire life and know all the trends and memes kids are sticking with even if you're a 20-year-old adult still living with your parents? Yeah, I think it's possible, if you're unemployed and chronically online, like me. All jokes aside, it's hard to stay in touch when you've grown up in a different societal landscape. Sure, Gen Z has its similarities with Gen Alpha, as Millennials have similarities with Gen Z. It's not like we're completely alien to each other, but seeing the internet landscape that Gen Alpha is growing up in shows some differences. It's a tale as old as time. Older people complaining about the younger generations, making stupid jokes, having weird ideologies, although there may be times where they may be right. Rarely. The ironic part is that now that Gen Z is complaining about the nature of Gen Alpha, Gen Z is a hypocrite. I mean, just look at what stuff Gen Z is looking at. We had our pieces of brain rot in our childhood, but apparently it's different, right? Because, oh, it's nostalgic. Oh, that... A thing I've learned throughout my life is that nostalgia holds back progress. It literally muddies your brain. It like tricks you into thinking that whatever you were looking in the past was good. I'm not trying to say that you should let go of your roots. What you grew up with is what made you the very person you are today. For example, we had FNAF, animation memes, old Roblox, Club Penguin, Xbox, YouTube. It's crucial for each generation to learn to appreciate their own roots to an extent, because then it just gets to a point This is the problem of not letting go of things. You end up being stuck in the past, and it ends up being detrimental for your own awareness of what's going on around the world, and potentially detrimental to the future generations to come. Yes, it's important to keep track of the things from the past to make sure some mistakes aren't repeated. I'm just trying to focus on the dated things that old heads refuse to let go. And when I say old heads, that includes millennials and now Gen Z. All right, we're all unks. We're all old now. Like y'all could try to avoid that as much as you want, but you're all old. You're all old. It's a common theme you see all the time in pop culture nowadays. This type of mentality of not letting go of things is so prominent in the movie industries. They make reboots of every show or movie that came out a long ass time ago. I'm all for younger generations being able to appreciate the things that existed before their time. But the thing is, you don't need to flex to every child that breathes that you were around when some ultra niche content from the 2000s released on the dark web. It's always so fascinating to realize that Gen Z and Gen Alpha are influenced by the internet millennials once ruled. It's just so ironic that despite them influencing so much of what we have now, we ostracized millennials with the very thing they curated because they became old and washed. That's not to say older generations aren't allowed to have their little corners on the internet. I mean, that's how it's always been. It's just that the main market will always be focused on the youth, specifically users between 13 through 18, as it's the sweet spot for companies that want to capitalize off you. So if you're about to turn 19 as you're watching this video, you already fell off. You're old. You're old. Just stop denying. You're old. You're old. Now that Gen Z is about to be fully grown adults in the next coming years, that means everything we do will have drastic effects on the lives of Gen Alpha and Gen Beta, just as Gen X and Millennials had on us. All Gen Z can do to not fall off as bad as Millennials did is be a little less stuck up about the stuff they grew up with and do better than those Disney adult millennials.
Okay, can I show you a hidden Mickey that not many people know about?
Sure.
Okay, but you can't say anything.
I'm sure as hell tired of hearing the classic "back in my day" or the "you don't know nothing about that, you don't know nothing about that" mentality whenever you bring up something that was a millennial's childhood. It's just embarrassing to shit on the youth for literally just existing. The sad truth is that Gen Z is inevitably going to become the next joke of the internet in those next coming years. Gen Alpha is already on track to making fun of us and kicking us off our throne. But not me though. I'm pretty young and progressive. I just don't know why I have this looming feeling that there's something big coming. It's finally the year 2025, and the world's gotten its first few births of Gen Beta. Gen Beta is still an understandably new concept, as they're just being born. I theorize that Gen Beta, considering the insane increase in technology in the past few decades, is going to experience a brand new concept that not even Gen Alpha or Gen Z will be able to comprehend. Think about it this way. Millennials were the first generation to be introduced to the internet when it was finally more widely accepted. The internet probably was an insane concept for both Gen X and Boomers. So just try to imagine what is to come when Gen Beta is introduced to a technology or concept that we can't fathom. We can't say exactly what this new concept will be, but I can tell you for sure that it's going to be when Gen X were trying to learn how to use smartphones. Even if said technology is world-shattering and completely changes our worldview, we have to be open to it regardless. Or else Gen Z will become as irritating and as closed off as Gen X is. But what does it all lead to in the end? What difference does it make being aware of our generational flaws? Should we have to accept that we're going to become washed like millennials and open up our own awful restaurants that serve shareables and truffle fries? The truth is, it really shouldn't matter. Despite my own belief that people should be more progressive and understanding with the generations to come, I can imagine that there will be things that even I will find difficult to grasp, whether it be technological or ethical, which will probably lead to me sticking to my generation's corner of the internet, no matter how hard I try to stay relevant. I mean, what else can you do? Whenever an old person is caught playing a game, all the younger people playing with them instantly see them as a novelty or some lame monk who needs to hop off and go take care of their children, which you probably should. I know listen, I know there's like one dad watching this right now. I'm not saying you can't do these things, but it's like, come on. I mean, go take. I guess what I'm trying to say here is that by the time Gen Alpha begins to make fun of our humor and tendencies, we should be prepared for it, but neither discouraged by it, or else we'll end up like this girl. I understand that it's hard to grow up and let go of things when you're still relatively young, but it won't do anyone any good to try and force it. Despite my longing to not age and not become someone who pays taxes, it's something I've grown to accept. Just please don't try and be some stuck-up who can't let go of the past since that helps no one. Or preferably don't have kids. I don't know.